All right, Mr. Scott Emerick, Guardian Defense Manufacturing. Welcome to Whiskey and Windage, my friend. How are we doing today?
Doing great. Thank you all for having me. I'm excited to have a conversation about suppressors and kind of what we've been doing. But more than anything, man, I'm just grateful to be here.
Heck yeah. Well, we want to welcome you. We've had, we especially suppressors. Are seeing seems to be a renaissance almost of
Oh,
suppressors. And there is a lot of freaking technology, a lot of innovation. So we're really excited to have you. Thanks again for jumping in today.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm excited to talk about it. And you're right. There's a lot going on in the suppressor industry. Um, some exciting things. So, as a gun enthusiast, I'm always excited to see innovation and new ideas. I think for a long time, the suppressor world has all kind of been the same, and there's a lot of exciting things going on. So
yeah, for
excited to
sure.
talk about it.
Absolutely, man. Scott, thanks for being here. Let's go ahead and get this show kicked off right. Let's hit the first segment. Let's get into Ask AI.
Your workspace matters, and the Tipton Best Gun Vise 360 doesn't play around. Built for serious shooters, this vise locks down rifles, shotguns, and ARs with zero movement and full control. Tool-free adjustments, rock-solid clamping, and a 360-degree rotating cradle give you access from every angle. No shortcuts, no compromises. Whether you're building, cleaning, or dialing in, this vise was made to keep up. Tipton Best Gun Vise 360. Built to hold, built to work.
So, what I've done, Scott, is I have asked AI who Guardian Defense Manufacturing is. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read you the summary of what they've came up with. And at the end of that, you can kind of say, hey, man, that sounds perfect, or I don't know who they're talking about, or
What to
somewhere in
say?
between.
Yeah,
Somewhere in between. So let's go ahead and hit it up. It says Guardian Defense Manufacturing is a U.S. based family owned company in Dayton, Ohio that designs and produces firearm suppressors and accessories in house. They've been operating since 1988, focusing on precision, performance, and customer satisfaction across shooting sports and various industrial markets. Um, it says you're known for 30 cal and 5.56 suppressors, multi-caliber handgun, big bores, and rimfire. And you promote things such as a satisfaction guarantee and a lifetime warranty against manufacturer defects. Guardian serves not just as a firearms enthusiast, but also clients in the medical, aerospace, and automotive industries.
Thank you.
And last thing, they produce products in house at their Ohio facility, controlling the entire process from design and engineering to precision machining and assembly for consistency and quality.
absolutely. So that nailed it. I want to add one thing in there, which is always important to say. It says that we have a lifetime warranty for just manufacturer defect. And that's not exactly true. Yes, we're going to take care of the manufacturer defects, but I will tell you, every warranty issue that we've seen has been through user error, right? And it happens. So I like to put across to people, dealers and customers, it's the peace of mind that comes with it.
Mm-hmm.
We will service your product no matter what. Most of the time, it's going to be user error, right? And we have guys call us all the time. Hey, I didn't get this on, concentric to the bore, and I had a baffle strike. No problem. It's not an issue because look, buying a suppressor is an investment.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going through a process. Chances are you're going to have that product for the rest of your life. Most people don't buy a suppressor and sell it off later on.
No,
Just
they're
it's
hard to sell.
yeah, it's a difficult process, right? It can be
Mm-hmm.
done,
You
but
can.
it's a difficult process. We want you to have that peace of mind for the duration of your ownership of that product. So that's the only thing that I would add to that AI. definition of who we are. It hit a lot of good bullet points there. Yes, we have extensive experience in manufacturing, and that is a huge benefit for us and our team. We source technology from different industries. It mentioned some things in there like aerospace, medical, automotive, and firearms. Um, for the aerospace industry, that's a huge part of our experience. I
Mm.
mean, we're making components for the Rolls-Royce jet engine. You know, we're making hundreds of thousands of parts a month for Honda for their vehicles and side by sides. So it's a very diverse manufacturing experience, but all that experience helps us make a better suppressor or better
Yeah.
components overall. Um, I think that is what one of the best things for me is. Look, I'm a gun guy. I've been in the industry for, I mean, I think going on maybe 15 years now. And I've been a gun enthusiast all my life. So I have ideas. I like to tell people I'm an idea guy. You know, I can give you a bunch of ideas, but I have a team of people that I can give ideas to and they can make it better. And I don't know if y'all have ever been in that position before where you just, you have a group of people behind you that you can say, hey, what do you think of this? And they can just tack on to that idea and make it even better.
Most
And
definitely.
y'all probably have that with your show,
I,
right?
I, I tell I tell Mikey all the time. I'm like, hey, look, we ain't too smart, but don't underestimate stupid people in small
Yeah.
groups. All
Well,
right.
that's
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Two
combined force
brains.
right there.
Yeah.
yeah, dude, I can come up with good ideas all day. Implementing them and making them come through.
Yeah.
Certain ones I can take to the finish line. Other ones, when they're I don't want to say dreams, but it's always like dream big. But it's like when you go grand scale, typically those are things that you're not going to be able to enact yourself. You're going to need a help. You're going to need a team. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can
no,
get that.
absolutely. And especially on the manufacturing side. Look, I mean, I've been a general manager of a retail store and indoor gun range, so I've been on that side of the business, the dealer side, um, which gives me a unique perspective. Obviously, I've been a consumer of firearms, so I know what I'm looking for on the consumer side of things. I've been in marketing and sales for I mean, some of the top guys in this industry on the business side of things, but the manufacturing side was new to me. I had to learn uh, new vocabulary. When they're talking about stuff, and I'm going, guys, explain that to me.
The
And
weeds,
But yeah.
yeah, and
weeds help me.
and as somebody that appreciates knowledge, man, I eat that stuff up. I'll call some of my
There's a
guys.
there's a lot to eat in a large manufacturing plant. I'm sure.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
when they're sending me pictures of new products or hey, check this design out, and then on the background, they send it to me and they took the picture on a schematic drawing, and I'm going, well, what's that drawing for? What product is that? And they're like, oh no, that's just for a component for the Rolls-Royce jet engine. And I'm going, we do that? That's awesome. Tell me more about that, because I mean, when I tell people, wouldn't you want somebody with some advanced design in aerospace manufacturing building your suppressor? It
It's
I
a high
get it.
level of engineering. Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. There's some guys that can go in their garage and come up with some fantastic products, right? And we've seen it across, business in general. Hey, this guy started in his barn, and look where he is now. We just don't have to do that. I have to. I get to come to people and go, hey, you know, Guardian Defense Manufacturing was born out of, you know, almost 40 years of advanced machining across these different industries. And for me, I'm like, if you took Ferrari a job of building a moped, right, Ferrari would over engineer that moped. It'd probably be the best one ever built. And they're going to use their background in racing and developing supercars and put it into that somewhat simple objective. And, I don't want to claim suppressors are simple by any means, but, when you go to somebody and say, hey, I want you to design a suppressor, and they're used to designing components for a jet engine, they're bringing some serious
knowledge,
experience. And I'm going, hey, what can you do with the suppressor? Because
Good.
for a long time, those designs have been pretty, I don't want to say basic, but standard across the board. There's guys that think you can just stuff cone baffles in a tube and it's going to be great. And that's not always the case.
That's me.
That's you.
Yeah. So Scott, before we get too deep into who Guardian Manufacturing is, because we want to know the creation story, we want to know how we get to where we are today and some of the current lineup. But first, we've got a rapid fire section for you. These are going to be like quick answer, like trying a one word, one phrase answer. I'm going to try and sling them at you quick. All right. So think quick on your feet. We want to thank our friends over at Wheeler Tools for this week's rapid fire questions.
That's a sound done right. Scope rings, mounts, handguards, locked in with exact torque. Wheeler Fat Sticks don't guess, they deliver. Every click means you're dialed, not overdone. No strip threads, no compromise, just precision. Wheeler Fat Sticks. Hear the click, trust the build.
All right. Are you ready, Scott?
I'm ready.
All right. First suppressor you were ever involved in designing?
The GDM30M. Still one of my favorite suppressors that we have today.
Awesome. What most popular Guardian Defense product today?
Still the GDM30M.
Titanium, stainless steel, Inconel. What's your favorite?
Titanium.
Yeah, we'll get into that. We'll get into that in a little bit.
We'll break it down. We'll break it down. Smallest suppressor that Guardian's ever made, like physical size. Even just a prototype.
The RFC or rimfire, titanium rimfire can.
Easiest caliber to suppress?
300 blackout.
Best selling product that isn't a suppressor?
Our left hand QD mount, it's phenomenal.
If you could only own one Guardian suppressor, what one would it be?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'll say 30M again. I'm telling you, that's still one of my favorite cans.
Flash suppression or sound reduction? What's the bigger design challenge?
Flash suppression on a titanium can, and we're one of the best at it.
Modular or fixed length suppressors?
Fixed length all day long.
Favorite industry event or trade show you've ever been?
Ooh. Oh, that's a tough one. They're getting so good. You know what? I'm going to go with SHOT Show, and I know that's not everybody's favorite answer, especially if you're in the industry, but I love seeing all the people at SHOT Show.
It's super
fun.
wild.
It's something, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been obviously several years now in a row, and you talk to guys in the industry, that's not always their favorite just because it's so taxing.
Crazy huge.
Yeah. But I will tell you this, I am in this industry because it's full of really good people, and I get to see them at SHOT Shows. So that's the highlight of my year.
Amen. One word to describe Guardian Defense's design philosophy. One word.
Ooh, God, that's tough. Innovative, but
That's a good one.
yeah,
Favorite?
Innovative.
Favorite platform to suppress?
6-arc.
What's next in suppressors? Innovation in materials or mounting systems?
Probably mounting systems, I would say.
Awesome.
Yep.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah.
All right. That was a good rapid fire. Those were some solid answers.
Sorry, I like to think out the answers, so it took me a minute.
It's an exercise for most people. It's a little taxing. So
You know why?
thanks
You know
for
why it's
playing.
difficult for me is because I like to talk, and a one-word answer is tough.
Man, again, my hand is up. My hand is up again. So, man, let's go ahead and talk about the evolution in the current product lineup. So, let's go ahead and talk about, or excuse me, the company origins. I just jumped way down.
Yeah, yeah,
So, talk to us a little bit about, since '88, I think is what it was.
Yeah, 88.
Yeah, Guardian.
I wasn't even born yet.
Yeah, so
yeah.
young buck. But my question is, if you start looking for Guardian Defense Manufacturing, you see a few things, but not a whole lot going back that far. So I guess talk about how it was founded, if you know,
Yeah, absolutely.
also what inspired its creation.
Yeah. So Guardian Defense Manufacturing is a branch of AccuGrind, and AccuGrind is the parent company,
Okay.
created by Jeff Heisey, who is not only one of the best businessmen I've ever come across, and that list is extensive. I've been in business in that world for a long time, but he's also just a great man. So it was, it was kind of one of those. Everything worked out at the right time through um, just an untraditional story of um, Jeff calling me up and going, "Hey, I have an opportunity to um, absorb a suppressor company that's going out of business." So he had the opportunity to buy up all of their assets, and he was doing a lot of the supply and their components, and it just happened to work out. Well, you know, he's been in business and manufacturing for decades. So, but not just in the firearms industry. And to introduce a suppressor line and really promote it, you kind of have to have some knowledge and experience in the firearms industry. And that was
Yeah.
kind of his disconnect. And I mean, I remember his phone call. I was traveling around in Houston, going and meeting dealers. And he called me up and goes, "Hey, I have this opportunity, but I am disconnected from the firearms industry side of things. And for this to be successful, I need to bridge that gap." And so we had a conversation and said, "Hey, what if we started our own company as a branch of AccuGrind? And these are the things that we bring to the table as AccuGrind." And he's telling me all of their resources and capabilities and experience, and I'm going, "Man, that would be the ideal start for a suppressor company." And these guys were not unfamiliar with the industry. I mean, they and they still make components for some of your top companies in the industry. Because let's be honest, not everybody manufactures in house.
Nope. It's
Most
kind of
people,
rare, actually.
exactly, and we are one of those companies, or AccuGrind is one of those companies that people will outsource their production to for great reason. I mean, they've been doing precision manufacturing for a long time, and they kind of have streamlined that process, not just on the manufacturing side of things, but the business side. It'd be different if Guardian Defense just popped up 2 years ago, which we did on most people's radar. But I get to take the business knowledge of AccuGrind and apply that to Guardian Defense Manufacturing. So when you're talking about the backside of business stuff, we have Chris Ann, Jeff's wife, who operates all the accounting side of things. Y'all know this. I mean, it's great if you can come up with a cool product, but if you don't have the back end business side of things laid out, um, you know, there's
Doomed.
there's a chance you won't be successful
Yeah.
as a whole.
So,
So go ahead.
quick question just to interject. You talked
Yeah.
about how, and I'm not here to ask all the who do you do these for? We're not,
Yeah.
but you do some white label work, some OEM work for some people.
We do.
So I know with other suppressor companies, when you first buy from certain brands, you're all excited, and especially as a dealer, I'll see the Form 3 come in, and when the Form 3 comes in, the manufacturer who I bought the can from, it may have their name and their can name and all of that, lasered in. But the Form 3, it doesn't come from them. It actually comes from somebody completely different. And you're like, who the hell's that? And so you realize real quick, oh,
Yes.
somebody made that suppressor for them, OEM work. So is that, if you're a dealer that's been around for a while, is there a chance that there may be a Form 3 rolling around with Guardian or AccuGrind on there, or were you making parts and then shipping to them so they could make in-house?
A little bit of both. We do a lot of components, so quick detach systems, muzzle devices, a lot of non 3D printed components for suppressor companies out there. Just to name a few, because we do all of the or a lot of the non 3D printed components for CGS, SpectraCat, elevated silence, Faxon. The list goes on. But a lot of companies that are out there that have great products, and we're happy to work with those guys. A lot of the companies I named there, they're run by some pretty outstanding people, and we enjoy working with them and helping advance their product offerings.
Heck yeah, high tides raise all ships. Like
Absolutely.
everybody's gotta help each other out here so that we can all have better products consumers love. Like that's great stuff.
Yeah, and
Great stuff.
a lot of those guys I named, they have phenomenal suppressors. We are happy to work with companies like that because, like you said, we just want to see the better products out there, and they're doing it. But it also inspires us to introduce our own designs. And that's the thing. And I know we're going to get into talking about the team in that aspect, but man, I'd love to highlight some of the guys on the team and what they do and bring to the table. So
Yep,
I know we'll get into that.
for sure.
Let's get into it right now, Scott. Like, because it sounds like you were there from the inception of like, okay, we're gonna start developing a line of suppressors. So tell us, I guess, exactly what your title and duties are, and how you brought expertise and now have a team and what their expertise are and what you're providing. Yeah, that's fine.
So
That's fine.
our team is made up of a lot of individuals that have experience in different parts of manufacturing. There again, I highlight Jeff Heisey as the president of both Guardian Defense Manufacturing and AccuGrind. He's the guy that leads this team, and I always refer to it as a team. Even when I send out emails to everybody, I start with team, just so people understand that there's not one person that makes this thing work.
Yeah.
Facts.
Jeff is our leader, and he's really the guy that we consult on the business side of things, just because he understands it and has been very successful in it. Sean Naylor is also the head of design for Guardian Defense Manufacturing. I cannot tell you how much his genius really advances our product design. Like I said, I can give him an idea, and he will always make it better. Not only that, but he understands the design to manufacturing side of things. So he can look at a design and go, it's going to be easier to manufacture or more efficient to manufacture if we do it this way, but we're going to get to the same outcome. And a guy on your team that can look at a process and go, I can make that more efficient and give you either the same outcome or better. I mean, that's a extremely valuable component to Guardian Defense Manufacturing. And then we have Steve Heisey, who's Jeff's brother, but also a guy that he is not only the compliance guy, and you know how difficult working with the ATF side of things can be. There's a lot of different processes and forms and requirements, and so he's the guy that keeps that straight and moving in the right direction. He's the guy with answers, but from an organizational standpoint, I mean, Steve's vital to the process. He always knows where things are in the process. So, for me, I can call him up and go, hey, we we sold 50 BMG cans this week, and where are we at on production for those? And he'll know exactly when those are on the production list and how many are coming and what date. I mean, it's like having instant answers when you ask him questions. And I mean, for my job, it really makes life a lot easier. So those are kind of the four guys that started Guardian Defense Manufacturing. From what I bring to the table is the firearms industry side of things. Like I told you, I've been a general manager of an indoor gun range and retail store, and that gave me a lot of insight. I started working there because I enjoyed firearms, but also business. I did several other things in the business world that weren't fulfilling. I'm a gun guy. I like being around guns.
Yep.
I grew up that way. My dad, who he was a police officer for 33 years, he was a gun collector and a gun enthusiast, and he would teach me about every aspect of this is an antique firearm, and then this did this, and I just soaked it up. To the point where I was doing all his gun maintenance growing up. He could come home and unload his firearm that he carried with him at work, and I would strip it down and clean it and lubricate it, put it back together, and he didn't have to check it. He knew I did it right. And that's just because I really had a passion for it. So it led me into the business side of firearms and the gun enthusiast side. So I've worked with a lot of different manufacturers on the sales and marketing side of things. Some really great companies like Sons of Liberty Gun Works, Cobalt Kinetics,
Shout out.
Outdoor Defense, Volquartsen Firearms. I mean, just monsters in the industry that are doing great things. And I've learned a lot from those companies, and it allowed me to take a lot of knowledge and experience to Guardian Defense Manufacturing, which is my passion. I'm a silencer guy.
Heck yeah.
I shot my first silencer when I was 11. It was an integral suppressed 1022, designed from John's Guns back in the 80s. I don't know if you're familiar with those guys, but
no.
Yeah, it was.
They sound like my type of guys, though. If they were turning 1022s into integrally suppressed in the 80s, like that,
that was their thing. It was all integral suppressed. They had it was phenomenal. And when I got to shoot that, especially at that age, I was hooked. I was like, from here on out, I want a suppressor on everything. The guy that I went and shot his suppressed 1022 is still a family friend. I mean, I say family friend. He's family to me. He's like another grandfather to my son, and we still go out and do testing at his ranch in Wimberley, Texas, as often as we can. And we'll go out there with prototypes and get his feedback because he's been shooting suppressed for decades. So that's what got me hooked on the suppressors, and I was able to take that and make a career out of it. So
here you are doing exactly what you wanted to do.
That's it. And now I get to make even better suppressors that the whole idea is for somebody to shoot our suppressor and go, man, that's awesome. Because I've had that experience. I felt that. I mean, like I said, when the first time I got to shoot a suppressed weapon, I mean, it stuck with me, and yeah. So that's kind of how Guardian Defense came about. That's kind of a little bit of background on everybody that helped create it, and it's been a fun ride up until this point, and we just see huge growth potential for the company, and we're excited.
So I'm glad you is a great segue because we were just talking about the products and the design and going back from the late 80s and coming into today.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about it. Not getting into the proprietary things, but suppressor design progress.
Yes.
How are your suppressors, or if you get it right, you get it right, but how are your first models and those designs? How are you able to grow and I guess try new things and that turn into or adapt into the flagship products you have today? I guess so. My question would be, how did those suppressor designs from back then influence the ones you're making today?
Yeah, I mean, for a long time, everybody kind of designed the same, cone baffles in a tube, and it's a suppressor, right? Um, it's obviously, we're trying to innovate. You know, there's a lot of things that you can do inside of suppressor, and one change makes a huge difference, good or bad, right? I mean, I will tell you this: our designs come from great ideas, but they don't get released into the market without extensive research and development. And one of the benefits of manufacturing everything in house is I can design, prototype, and test all in the same week. And that's a process that a lot of companies have to extrapolate because they can't control the timing, right? If they
Yeah.
outsource their manufacturing, I mean, they have to make sure all their designs and drawings are exact, and then they have to get in line behind whoever else, and that could be a several month to year long process for
Yeah.
them to understand that their idea had this change. Well, you know, we will test multiple different models with slight design changes to see what kind of performance advantages or disadvantages we might come across. And that was really the hardest part for us when we started Guardian Defense Manufacturing. Because if you want to know the truth, you have to figure out when to stop making your product better and take it to market. And I mean, we figured that out. Hey, I could squeeze this much more performance out of the product if we did this design tweak. Well, you can continue to do that and keep squeezing out performance
Forever.
forever. I mean, as somebody
Some
who's
companies will do it, will work backwards, trying to do that too. Like
yeah,
they'll make
yeah,
it
no,
worse
for
for
sure.
you.
Oh, it happens. I mean, we will, develop prototypes, and we could go, okay, here is the configuration, and here is what the variation is. And then you test it. And one thing we do is we test with a B&K 2209, which is an analog meter. And then we confirm that on a digital Larson Davis. And what we're trying to do is make sure we're getting the same performance numbers, because it's all about redundancy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if my analog says this and I'm good with it, I want to confirm it. And that's what we do. So, we set everything up and we test it, and we can go, okay, well, this design, this is the variation, and we saw, a deviation in performance because of this. And so we know to go away from that direction. we know to go towards the one that's going to, like, hey, here's the 10 round average. This is what we got. And just doing this slight innovation gives us this much performance. But the R&D is the fun part, but you also have to know when to go, hey, this suppressor is outperforming 98% of the industry right now. Take it to market. People need this product. And I mean, I will sit there and I'll get in the workshop mode of, hey, we can make it this much better if we did this. And it's true, but at the end of the day, those ideas have to be paused so we can do that down the road. And we need to just get models out there that are outperforming a lot of the suppressors in the industry.
Hey man, I think that there is I'm not a suppressor owner. I don't own not
Really?
one of them. Nope.
I want to change that.
All right. It's a thing. It's a running joke. But I have had the pleasure of, Mike's a good friend of mine. A lot of my friends shoot suppressors. I now know quite a few people in the industry. We've spoken with quite a few suppressor manufacturers, and I've spent time learning about suppressors. And I think that there is a huge advantage to what at least what the pattern of our show is showing is that there's these a little bit smaller, but like these boutique suppressor manufacturers that are making everything in house. That lowers their overhead. That quickens their production time from design to production. It's a lot faster, and it's happening at such a pace that, like, my mind is starting to be it's getting even worse for me to make a decision because everybody's stuff is getting so freaking good. Absolutely. And I'm kind of excited about it. But I think that's a really good move for you guys to be able to control. I mean, that you control your whole supply chain essentially if you're making it in the U.S. from U.S. products and you're making it right in house. Not to say the other guys can't make a nice product, but you're going to consistently put out a better product more times over a decade than the guys who are having to order in or completely having it the whole can white labeled and then reselling it in the market. So
it's an advantage for sure.
Yeah. Definite superpower.
And I like what you said there when you were talking about, more of the maybe not well-known companies are putting out better products. And I think there's a trend among consumers who are starting to understand that as well. And they're not just looking at the big marketing brands out there. And I know a lot of those guys in the big marketing brands, and they're good guys. And they put out a good product.
For sure.
I just think that most people are searching for a better product.
Yes.
Look, there's people that are brand loyal, and I get that. But at the end of the day, as a consumer, if I go in to buy a lawnmower and I don't know anything about lawnmowers, and the sales guy can inform me about a lawnmower and the additional benefits that I might have if I spent $400 more on this lawnmower versus that one, and if he can explain it to me in the way that I could understand, I am going to be more inclined to buy this lawnmower, not knowing about the brand, but just about its performance. Yeah. And I think that's what people are looking for as a firearms enthusiast. I experienced that as a general manager, and I always told my sales guys, hey, look, this is their toy store, right? Like, they're coming in here because this is what interests them. And a lot of people just want a little bit of knowledge. Tell them about a product they never heard about. I did that all the time.
I was going to say, I hate to jump in, but I do want to.
Please do.
With the industry, I think, Matt, you hit something right. And then Scott, you piggybacked off of it. So I'll hit it the last way. The industry is trending more towards that. And I think, we had a while back, not a while back, a couple episodes back, we had the CEO of Silencer Shop on. And while Dave is an awesome guy, and he is like, I don't know, going to lawnmowers, he's like the Home Depot of silencers. Like, the guy has a ton of them. Something I will give his guys credit to is that they do a good job when it comes to the end user. You can find data and information on their site to figure out, give you some information so you can make your best choice. I think the what I meant when I say the industry is trending this way, there are lots of companies that are pulling away from distribution, not just suppressors, firearms in general, because it's going to be more work for the manufacturers. Of course, it's going to be, the old traveling salesman, suitcase and some product. But when you get into the majority of the gun shops in America, and listeners, if you're listening, correct me if I'm wrong here. Most people, man, most of these gun stores, they're set up with distributors. I'm set up with some, and it's not really in the distribution DNA to do, lunch and learns about products. You're not going to sit there and get the breakdown on
Nope.
the Glock lineup and tell you why the 34 is better than the whatever, and but that's this. And then next week we're doing SIG training, and next week we're doing Smith and Wesson. Like, you don't get that. So what people get are, hey, what do you want? Well, I want this because a buddy said they liked it. All right, I'll order it. And
Yep.
they hit, so going back to what you said, Matt, about the boutique suppressors, that really brings me into a manufacturing thing. It's scaling. If you hit big and you're a boutique guy, every boutique suppressor company or business in general that becomes successful reaches this crossroads where you have to scale.
Mm-hmm.
And if you scale incorrectly, well, I don't even want to say incorrectly. If you scale one way, you're going to keep your products, the quality's not going to change, and you're going to scale slower, or you're going to become even more in debt than you are buying machinery and manpower. The other option is you scale the other way and you start cutting corners to say, how can I build as many of these with what I have now? And that's what some companies are running into business all across the board. Matt, do you agree with that?
I could definitely see how a business owner, business executives, it could go either way. It's like, can I make a quick buck by taking off real fast, or do I maintain the integrity of what I set out to do? And it gets weird when a business gets that size too, because it starts to then, usually it's trading hands. It's no longer like a sole proprietor. It's then becoming a corporation, and it gets weird.
Scott and Guardian, man, they've been scaling in the background and no one's really
Yeah.
known it. So talk about that. Like that's got to be like
It's an interesting way to set it up.
Yeah, it's like it's the one up. It's like, hey man, we've been doing this the whole time in the background. So now that we're ready to bring our product to market, we've already scaled enough to
Let's
where
rock and roll.
we can handle this.
And that's it. And it's all about, I guess, establishing your brand, I guess, more organically. I want to develop relationships with dealers who want to sell a better product. There's a lot of, and I'm talking about the dealer side of things, right? There's several different aspects. There's direct to consumer, and that's, hopefully your audience is going to go, oh man, from this conversation, I'm interested in their design innovation. So they're going to go explore that directly to us. And we're trying to build that relationship for the direct to consumer. But there's also the dealer side of things, because I want our product into stores.
Sure.
Because I still think the gun enthusiasts are going to these dealers because that's their hobby. That's what they're interested in.
That's their source of information too. A lot of them. Yeah.
The guys that drive this industry are really the guys that are behind the counters. They're introducing products to customers. I want them to come in. I want, this sales team member of a gun store to introduce our product to somebody and them go, if they say, hey, have you heard of Guardian Defense Manufacturing? And they say no, I tell people, perfect. I like being that guy you get to introduce somebody to, because at the end of the day, the information behind the product is going to intrigue you. And then the performance from your firsthand experience is going to make you understand that that sales guy, that dealer, informed you of a product that you are extremely happy with.
And now you trust him.
It enhances their reputation. I tell them that all the time. If you sell a customer a better product, they're going to go home and find that to be true. And you are going to establish a customer for life. They're going to come back to you because they trust you. You directed them down a path that they are happy with. And at the end of the day, as consumers, and we all are, that's what we want. We want products that have better value. And, you know, I say that all the time to dealers when they go, well, I haven't heard of you. I'm like, perfect. I love that. Why do we go to SHOT Show every year? Why do we go to these trade shows? You're trying to get introduced to a better product. I'm bringing that to you. I'm calling people all week long. I get to sit there and talk to guys on the front lines of the firearms industry and go, hey, I'm bringing you a better product, and this is why. And then we start that relationship, and you know, we go down that road together, and I'm giving them product. I'm maintaining their inventory so they're never losing revenue. You know, a lot of these dealers are sitting on back order, and you can't make any money if you're sitting on back order. You know, so it's a great time to introduce better products, and you know, I have that opportunity daily, and you know, that's where I like to be. I love talking about a better product.
That's great. That's great. So before we get into the current product lineup and talk about it, let's take a quick break so we can hear from the friends of the channel.
When precision matters, every detail counts. The Frankfurt Arsenal IntelliDropper 2.0 takes accuracy to the next level with advanced sensors, a sleek touchscreen, and effortless calibration. Whether you're fine-tuning or loading in volume, the IntelliDropper 2.0 ensures confidence in every drop. Frankfurt Arsenal, precision starts here.
All right, so Scott, which products from Guardian have been the most successful, and why do you think that that's resonating with the market?
I would say our GDM 30 series, that was our flagship product line. That's what we introduced first. It's 4 different lengths of a 30 cal suppressor. And I think that's important because preference on suppressors, you know, you have the guys that are like, you know, I want to keep it as short as possible. Or you have the guys that go, no, I don't care how long it is. I just want the most sound suppression.
That's me.
Okay.
Yeah, that is me. I want the longest,
Quietest thing.
Yeah, I don't make it longer than the barrel. If a 6.5 Creed barrel is 22 inches, I need a 23-inch can on front of it. Like that's
Yeah, I kind of go more towards sound suppression. You know, if somebody, again, you never know what a customer wants. What, you know, the end user is all different. That's why the conversation has to be had.
Mm-hmm.
There's not one suppressor for everybody because everybody wants something different out of it. For me, I don't care if it's a little longer if I get more sound suppression. If you ask me, a suppressor should be quiet. I should not have to wear ear protection while I shoot my suppressor. And that's me. But that's not the industry right now. I mean, you know, there are a lot of companies out there that are putting out cans that if you don't wear ear pro with it, it's not going to be pleasant. And I don't understand that from a consumer standpoint. That's not me. You have the guys that you know will trade sound suppression for gas flow. Now I understand that, and there's a lot of companies out there who've done a great job of marketing that. Hey, if you don't have a certain type of flow in your can, then you're going to get too much back pressure. It's going to kill you. You know, that's their marketing ploy. And, you can fear a lot of people into buying stuff. So,
you sure can.
I think that's why our GDM 30 series is popular because there's a balance of flow dynamics with maximum sound suppression. It's the best of both worlds, and at the end of the day, that's what we're looking for. Everything has a trade-off, and we've been able to implement a design that gives you optimal flow dynamics, but gives you a better sound suppression. And we do that without having to use a vented front cap. And, that's where we have a design advantage. We're basically giving people a machined suppressor that functions as your 3D printed, I use quotes, optimized flow can. And I think that's where we shine. We're able to use individually machined baffles that we fusion weld together. That gives you more structural integrity. That gives you a product that is going to last a long time. A lot of the industry is really moving towards 3D printing. There's some really cool things that you can do, some advanced designs and some interesting geometries. But everything has a trade-off. And one of the trade-offs being on those advanced 3D printed designs, carbon is going to get trapped into a lot of those, geometries that are structured in those cans, right? You're going to increase weight. You're going to reduce performance. It's going to be taking away volume. And at the end of the day, a suppressor, more volume a suppressor has, the better sound suppression you're going to get.
Yep.
So we're able to give you that in a machined baffle. And then we use a DLC coating internally as well as externally. Now, the internal part is the I guess
that's the magic.
The biggest advancement, right? We're the only company that I know of that is using DLC coating on the inside of a welded suppressor. A lot of that has to do with line of sight. We source the not the technology of DLC coating that's been around for a long time, but the application of putting that internally on a welded can. And there's some huge advancements to that. It rejects carbon. So this is a low to no maintenance suppressor. Mike, how often are you cleaning your suppressors like you're supposed to?
Like I'm supposed to?
Yeah, according to the manual.
According to the manual, I think the last time I cleaned a suppressor was probably when it got wet when I shot it in the rain.
Yeah, there you go.
That's about
right.
it.
Exactly. Some of these advanced 3D printed designs, they need maintenance. Similar to a rimfire can, 800 to 1,000 rounds. They want you cleaning this, or you're going to shorten the life of it. Our designs and our coatings are there so that decades down the road, because we said that a suppressor is an investment. Decades down the road, I want you to look at our can on that setup and go, that's still one of my favorite suppressors. And, it's going to be functioning as it was from day one. That DLC coating, you get no baffle deterioration. This is a highly, this is a chaotic environment inside a suppressor.
Yeah.
You're talking heat, pressure, unburnt powder that is deteriorating baffles. All of that is going to affect the longevity of your can. It has a lifetime warranty. All of our products do. You're probably never going to have to use it, but it's there. And, all that advancement kind of, gives us a unique product line and the GDM 30 series was the first offering that we had and all those designs we've implemented in our other product lines as well.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
Because you guys, you don't 3D print anything, do you, Scott?
Not currently, no.
Okay. So, Matt, write this down in
Currently.
your list of notes to ask suppressor companies that we meet going into the future with 3D printing.
Okay.
Something dawned on me, and I'm sure there's already an answer for this. But in a traditional suppressor, if I get a baffle strike, let's just say it's at baffle 3, 4, 5. I don't even care if it's baffle the last one. Let's say there's 7, and I hit a strike on 7. On a traditional suppressor, you can cut those baffles out, and you can re-weld in, because the serialized part is typically the first part, which is the blast baffle. When it's a 3D printed suppressor, everything is one piece. So if you get a baffle strike on number 7, my question is, how do you separate the blast baffle from the rest of it? Or is the warranty like done, like that can is done and they got to send you a whole new suppressor, new serial number, all that, because you can't redo the same serial number?
Yeah.
That is going to be a
I haven't thought about that.
I haven't either until we're just talking about it. That's going to be a dang warranty nightmare. Like, sorry, tough luck, buy a new can.
Yeah. Yeah. And if they warranty that suppressor, I mean, they're having to pay to have a new suppressor sent out. I mean, that's expensive. And one of the designs that we do is, we have the flats on our suppressor, and we put the serial number on that. So in the event that it's a catastrophic failure for whatever reason,
can you hold that up to the camera? We can see.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah. So you can see the flats on there. There's our logo. And then you have all of the product information and serial number on there. So we can laser that off and put it on a new can. And so you're not having to sit there and wait for the process of a different serial number and that kind of thing. So, that's something that you can do that's unique on a welded suppressor rather than a 3D printed one, because like you said, it is all one piece.
Or you're going to be breaking up a welder.
Yeah, and this whole thing really is just a big old balancing act of pros and cons. It could go either way. So
Right.
for
sure.
That's an interesting perspective. And up until this time, I'd never even thought about, like, okay, what if I put a 3D printed can on the end of my freaking janky old AK and I blow the end out of that thing? Like, what happens?
Right. Yeah, no, for sure. And look, I mean, we've seen in the suppressor world, there are occasions when whole serial number groups have a manufacturing flaw in them. And that creates some significant difficulties for companies having to do warranty work. I mean, if you don't heat treat your baffles right and you get 15 rounds through that can and all of a sudden those deteriorate, and that happened on this batch. One, you have a lot of customers who are going, hey, I did the process. I waited all the time. I paid all the money. And the first time I took it out, it failed. That could be a new customer to buying suppressors. And right there, they're going, you know what? I don't want to go jump through the hoops and have that happen. Right. So, there's some interesting aspects to design and manufacturing that accompany the warranty side of things. That's one thing that we like to put out. Hey, we have this exceptional warranty because I want it to be a peace of mind for the customer. Hey, you're going to get taken care of. Any warranty issues that come in, no matter what they are, it goes to the front of the line, and we get it back out to you as soon as possible. You have a stamped item, you're going to want that back in your hands as soon as possible.
So Scott, we had talked about the suppressor industry and how it's over the last couple of years, it's just been taken off like a rocket ship. Like, the suppressor industry is definitely growing.
Yes.
I think anybody that hangs out in this industry or firearms as a hobby or works in the industry can see that, but coming from a mile away. So what trends in the market or what trends are you seeing that are going to shape suppressor technology and also shape Guardian and their product lineups? What type of trends are you seeing?
Yeah, I really think the advancement in 3D printing is huge, right? I mean, everything has a trade off, but there are some unique geometries out there that you can achieve through 3D printing, and there's I think that really is the big thing in the industry right now. Um, Now, coming from the machined baffle side of things, um, we kind of understand both of those worlds. And I said earlier, we're not currently doing any 3D printed designs, but that is coming. I really think that there is a way to incorporate that world into the machining and manufacturing side of things that we do. And we we've been doing some pretty fun stuff behind the scenes, and I'm excited for that to come out. We're establishing our brand with the industry and consumers right now, all based on quality and performance, and we're going to keep that going with our future designs as well. But I'm very excited to get those out there. But man, I'd really have my design team mad at me if I started talking about it.
That's okay. Well, hey, whenever you guys are ready, just think of us. We'll bring you on and talk about it again at that time.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. So something else I think that's going to be a big void in the manufacturing, manufacturing space is going to be. It's got everything to do with the NFA and where suppressors currently sit. Because if suppressors are removed from the NFA and they just become a standard 4473, I truly believe that we're going to start seeing more OEM rifles come out integrally suppressed. So there is going to be a huge void in this industry. And I know there's going to be people like, I'm just going to use them as an example. There's going to be people like Aero Precision who own Ballistic Advantage, and they also make suppressors that will come out with an integral barrel that they could supply to, all of these manufacturers, OEM style. So with people like you, and I know you can't talk about it, but with people like you knowing Faxon and putting heads together, if you guys aren't doing it, I would definitely start looking, because if it comes out that is removed from the NFA, the amount of integrally suppressed rifles that are going to come out, and pistols,
yeah, I was going to say
it's just going to be. I don't know why you wouldn't make them not integrally suppressed. I mean, it would be more like, all right, yeah, they become the automatic transmission of the car world, and you can order a manual, you can order a non-integral suppressed. I mean, and that's how I see the industry going in 10, 15 years.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there's a lot of room for the integral suppress side of things, but also, I mean, Mike, you're a suppressor owner. Do you move your cans around?
No, I start never. So I started with I did the gateway drug.
Mm-hmm.
I started with a 30 cal can, and it allowed me to go to 5.56, and I could do my thing. And then I upgraded to I bought a 5.56 can next, but then I went to a 46 caliber can. So it was like, all right, I can shoot everything from big bore all the way down to, I don't think I've ever tried rimfire, but I don't think there's a thread that would work for me. But it was like, I fell in love with suppressors so much that it was, now my goal is, if it's threaded, if it has a threaded barrel and it's in my arsenal, if it doesn't have a suppressor yet, it will. I mean, I've got two up there that aren't suppressed right now, but literally the cans are sitting on the table. They just don't fit on the wall that well.
And I'm the same way. Look, I say suppress everything. But also the integral suppress, it kind of locks you in, right? I've also, certain suppressors I move around to find what is optimal. And a lot of people start out buying a 30 cal suppressor And then they realize, because their goal is, okay, I'm going to buy one can and put it on different guns.
One can to suppress them all.
Absolutely. And that's the idea. That's the thought process.
Yeah.
And then they shoot it. And then they go, well, now I need a suppressor for each gun.
It's actually quiet. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want it to shoot without a suppressor. And that's, my son is a unique individual where he's never shot a rifle without a suppressor on it. So he doesn't know how good he has it.
He's spoiled.
You can come by Uncle Matt's house. We got AKs with no suppressors. They're loud and proud. They spit fire.
I do see your point,
stuff.
though. I do see your point, though, because when I get a new suppressor in, the first thing I do is say, oh, it's a 5.56 suppressor. Well, let's put it on a plethora of 5.56 guns, because I've got different lengths and different configurations. I end up finding a host that works best for this suppressor from this brand, and this is the one like, God, you can't get better than this on this one. And then you kind of musical chairs, every suppressor finds a host, and like you move on.
Right. You probably have a primary that you go, okay, this is my home defense gun. And you may go, okay, I found the optimal suppressor for that, and I'm going to leave it on there. But then you might get a new one, and you might get a GDM 30M, and you're going to go, okay, well, my home defense gun is a 300 blackout, and I saw that video Scott sent me of the 30M on a 300 blackout, and thing's phenomenal. So you might try that on there and go, oh, that's the new home for it. And now you're going to take that can that you had on there and move it to something else, right? Because you're like, hey, this is still a great can. I'm going to put it on this host over here. And I think, going back to the whole integral suppressed concept, it's going to kind of prevent you from finding that right pair with a new can.
I think that's
I think the argument can go both ways. Like I said, the first gun I ever shot suppressed was an integral suppressed 1022. And I was like, hey, he even undid the baffle stack, and it was, you're like, man, for a 22, that's a huge baffle stack. And, but also I have some rimfire cans where I move them from a handgun to a rifle host, and, back and forth and that kind of thing. And, look, we all like to mix and match. Look at that wall back there. It's phenomenal. I'm a gun guy, and I'm going to sit back there and go, hey, I'd love for you to throw our 30 series can on that AUG back there and see, what you think of performance on that, versus what's on there. Right.
I'm looking. Everything that's got a blue magazine is 300 blackout. Everything that's red is 5.56. That way I don't screw anything up. But I mean,
all color coded.
Yeah.
You got the Die Hard 2 color coding on the magazines and everything. I love it.
I'm going to be the guy that if it happens and I laugh at it, and I always laugh at fails, I'm going to be the dude that puts 300 blackout in a 5.56. I would be that guy.
I've seen it so many times, and
so
I try to avoid it myself.
I don't even bring the same guns out to my range anymore, because I know how easy it is that I'll do it. I'll bring all of those out, shoot my 5.56 stuff, and say, okay, I'm done. Bring them all back in, and then I'll take the 300 stuff out, because it's like, man, I will be the guy that do that, and I will be the guy with the picture of like the old busted up face if I'm still around, posting like, don't do what I did.
Yeah, no, I'm always concerned about that. I do the whole, if it's not an FDE magazine, then a 300 blackout does not go in that ever.
Yes.
So
smart.
Yeah. But yeah, I just think that, as far as getting different suppressors in, and that's the beauty of innovation. If we talk about our design and it intrigues you, and you go, hey, I'd like to see how that works on this platform, I want you to be able to take one off there and throw our can on there and see for yourself that, is this performance better than what I had currently? So, innovation is going to give you better suppressors to throw on your host, and that's what we're trying to provide.
Amen. So Scott, I think we touched on it just a little bit. We touched on it just a little bit, but we haven't really asked the straight up question. Recently, there's been um, lots of changes to the NFA, cost of NFA, how silencers are going to be transferred, if they're going to be registered is still up in the air. But as of right now, starting January 1st, there will be the $200 tax stamp is being changed to zero. So, from your perspective, as a a professional in this type of industry, how do you see that changing the industry? How are you guys preparing as a company? And what do you think is going to happen here with all of this come January 1st?
Well, I think it's going to increase demand. Yeah, there's going to be more people getting into suppressors. That trend has already been going on for the last couple of years. I think previous to that, it was how many AR platforms can I buy, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was the whole panic buying. And so now you have a lot of people that have host weapons that they want to accessorize, right? And I think people are starting to understand that one of the best things that you can do is put a suppressor on your weapon. You're hopefully going to make it hearing safe. You're going to reduce recoil, sometimes up to 45 to 50%, which is a huge advantage. A suppressor is going to give you a lot of advantages because it reduces the human error involved in shooting. If you're not anticipating the loud noise, if you're not anticipating a significant amount of recoil, those things are all going to translate into better marksmanship. And, a suppressor does that. And I think people are starting to realize that. Not the whole, hey, it doesn't sound like it does in the movies kind of thing. When I was in a retail location, you got that all the time. Does it sound like the movies?
Pretty loud.
Like, yeah, exactly. And you're like, well, it depends on what you're shooting. If you're talking about a subsonic 22, yeah, it's going to, subsonic 300 blackout for sure. But if you're talking a supersonic 5.56, you're trying to manage that sound to make it as pleasant as possible to shoot. And I think that the trend is going to be that more people are going to get involved in buying suppressors because that tax stamp is now zero. I mean, it's been $200 since 1934, right? Mm-hmm. But it's just the additional tax that there's a lot of consumers that don't want to be a part of it.
That's why Matt doesn't own a suppressor.
Yeah, no, I get it. I really wanted the process to go away. Mm-hmm. The Form 4, the oversight, the waiting. I think that is maybe more of a reason for consumers to stay away from suppressors than the actual $200. Yeah. I heard plenty of people have told me, hey, I would pay the $200 if I could just take it home today.
That's still.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Right. And we're basically at that point right now. I mean, Form 4
pretty close.
Times, I mean, I've seen 22 hours in some cases.
Somebody was reporting 8 hours in a Form 1 group that I'm in. They were like, dude, I got 8-hour return on my Form 1. I was like, dang,
that's amazing. I've waited 13 months before.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about a significant investment. It's like, hey, pay everything up front and, start your process. We'll see you next year. You can take your can home. Right. Well, now there's the possibility where approval times are going to increase because, there's everybody trying to get $0 stamps. Yeah.
It will go back up. It's going to go back up for the first quarter, probably that first quarter of January, because of all the people that are buying now. All all these dealers, I get it. You got to make your money while you can. All these dealers that are taking these cans and saying, "Buy them now, and I'll hold it till the first, and then I'll put it in." What they're going to do is they're going to overload the system, and as soon as they overload the system, our waits are going to go from that 8 hour or 1 day or 2 day times. I'm not going to say they're going back to a year, but unless
They're going to take
somebody
some
is
time.
just unless somebody's just spam hitting enter or something over at ATF,
Right.
they're going to go back to a couple weeks to a couple months
Yeah,
for the first quarter. Then it should
absolutely.
back off.
And an interesting side note, ATF's funding is now tied to their approval times. So how is that going to factor in? Because, like you said, that system's going to be overloaded.
Spam enter.
Yeah, I guess so.
Prove.
So
Those batch approvals. So
I want to ask you. I want to wrap up innovation and the technology, and I want to ask you one thing because it's always interesting to hear people say this. Coming from the school of, I'm a product of the growing up being a teenager in my 90s. Car stereos were huge to me. So
yes.
we used to go to competitions, and we used to, put all the boom in the trunk and do the things. And man, it was all about reaching this certain decibel meeting. Like we had to hit it.
Right.
Getting into suppressors, I felt a level of comfort knowing, oh gosh, there's decibel readings here. This is great. I understand decibels.
Yes.
But again, you start shooting and you start realizing, well, these readings are actually kind of vague, or they're not really made for. They're more advertising and marketing, and I'm sure some of them are accurate, but since it's not standardized across the board, there is a test, but not everybody does it because they don't want to buy that specific dB mic because it's not cheap. Now we come into tone, and explain to our listeners, because I know you guys, we've talked, you chase tone. It's not decibels, but explain why you chase tone, and explain what tone you're looking for. You don't have to get too far in the weeds with science, but talk about it so it's understandable to our listeners.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. I know, in some of our phone calls, we've gone pretty in depth on the technical side of things, and I love that because that's kind of the innovation we bring. I will tell you, our design is a vented radial baffle configuration, and what that's going to do is we have a component to our baffles that allows the gas to move to the outer chamber and then through turbulence move back in to the path of the bullet, and that allows the gas to slow down and cool, and that gives us better sound suppression, right? So you're chasing the decibel side of things, which we talked about. Some people have no reference on what 140 decibels sounds like, right?
Yeah.
But yet OSHA defines that as what hearing safe is, 140 or below. And so it's really not the complete story on if the suppressor is quiet or not. That is one component, but there again, decibels, that's not the complete picture. For us, it's how pleasant is the tone. You have a lot of different designs in the industry. Some people chase as light as we can go, right? That's why you start to see titanium cans, in the 9 ounce range or even less. And, you put it on your gun and you go, oh, wow, I barely realize it's there.
Right.
Yes, but there is going to be a trade-off to that because some of these really thin titanium cans have a really high pitch to them. It's a ping when you hear it.
Yeah.
And it's noticeable. And, if you're a mountain hunter that is going to take one shot in ounces or pounds, and you're going to be, trekking up mountains and you want as light as possible, fair enough, right? Get the thinnest, lightest can that you can get, but chances are that's not your typical consumer. And they're going to be um, sensitive to that high pitch. So, one thing that we do is we thicken the walls of our baffles in certain places to mitigate that high frequency that you would get with a thinner walled titanium can. Um, Another part to that is titanium, as it heats up, it stretches. That's just one of the characteristics of titanium. So if you already have a thin walled titanium can and it's heating up, then you're making that ping even louder. And so what we're trying to do is mitigate that as much as possible, because I want you to shoot that suppressor and go, oh, wow, that sounds amazing. And it's not just decibels, it's frequency. And um, one of my favorite things is researching sound frequency, sound waves. And I mean, that's a whole different subject, but it translates into what we're doing. And when I can talk to Sean, our head of design, and go, hey, in my research I found this, and how can we apply it to our design? And he's like, well, if we did this, say we thicken the walls at the weld joints, right? So now we're getting increased stability but also thickness. And I've had people go, hey, your titanium 30K, which is a 6.5-inch length, is 11.5 ounces. Well, why can't it be 10? And I say, well, we take that additional 1.5 ounces of titanium and we strategically put it in these positions to give you a lower tone. And that has translated more to consumers than going, hey, I want an 1.5 ounces lighter on my suppressor. So it's just allocating materials in the correct design. It's just one thing that we do. Baffle stability is going to give you less point of impact shift. So that thickened walls at the weld joints is going to increase your accuracy. I've had PRS shooters cut their MOA in half just by adding our suppressor to their platform. For a long time, if you said precision suppressor, a lot of people would point you to Thunderbeast, which they do an excellent job of. And so we wanted to incorporate as many benefits as we could into one suppressor design, right? I want you to get optimal gas flow. I want you to have maximum sound suppression. I want you to have the lowest tone that you can have with the lightest weight can. Everything's a balance. But I don't want you to have point of impact shift, right? Because if you have a titanium tube and you tack weld a baffle stack in there, when you shoot, that baffle stack is going to have harmonics, and that is going to throw off your shot down range. Well, we have multiple points of contact on our baffles to mitigate that. And, so when I tell people, hey, if you're looking for a precision can, it's incorporated into our design. And that's even on our 5.56K, which is not obviously a precision can. It's actually a budget can. But I want you to have that performance and design in every suppressor that we make. And so, sorry, my dog just coughed. So, but that's the whole concept, is to incorporate the maximum amount of benefits into every model, whether it's designed for precision or not, whether you care about, maximum sound suppression. I mean, our 5.56K using a mill standard testing platform is about 135 decibels. That is a 3-baffle 5.56 can. That's all 17.4 stainless. It's a budget can, but you're going to get the same performance you would, with the same design features that you would on our GDM 30L, which is, on the higher end of performance and design. for a specific reason. That's a guy that wants to shoot maximum sound suppression with no deviation downrange in your marksmanship. Um, you're going to get that across all of our product line.
Uh-huh.
It's not, hey, you want a budget can? Let's just give you, a cone baffle design that works. No, let's give you the vented radial baffle design that we use on all of our platform because it's going to give you better performance. And at the end of the day, we're all about just putting out better products.
I think that that's one of the most interesting parts about suppressor science to me that I've learned over the last 2 years is my ignorance. I was just like, yeah, decibel reading, dB, and now we're talking about harmonics and we're talking about frequency, and it's like higher frequencies are going to be less pleasant. Lower
Correct.
frequencies travel though, and usually something that's a lower frequency is going to vibrate longer than something that's that put out a higher frequency noise. And so listening to
Yes.
how different companies battle that and how everybody's coming to a solution, most companies are trying to find a balance, of course, but it's all really really interesting. And
Absolutely.
it's a big deep dark hole though. So anybody who's just getting into it, be careful. You'll spend tons of time
Yes.
on YouTube and Reddit, like just wasting your life away.
Absolutely. There's a lot of sound engineering that goes into it, which I had to learn that side of things. I was ignorant to it. But when I started learning things, we were able to incorporate that into our design. And you want a organized, chaotic environment inside a suppressor. And everybody's trying to achieve that with different ideas. I love that because it's going to breed innovation. It's going to allow for better products on the market. It's going to allow for new brands and new companies to introduce people to things that they're going to be excited about. And that's what we're getting to do. I'm telling you, we sit there and tweak designs even when we're not trying to prototype and introduce new products. We're doing it by accident. We're going, hey, if we open this up on this baffle, what kind of reaction are we going to get? Right? Because everything you do to change your design is going to give you a different result. And I mean, we've done some pretty significant research, and we have a whole shelf full of prototype designs. It's labeled, hey, it did this because we did that. At the end of the day, it's like I said, the biggest challenge is always knowing when to stop over designing and take it to the consumer. And I don't think any of our team likes doing that. We want to just continue to make a better product all the time. It's a fun process, and I'm grateful that Guardian Defense Manufacturing it came into existence because it allows me to follow my passion.
Awesome. So, can you share any without getting your engineers on your ass? Can you share any details or teasers about upcoming suppressors or accessories currently in development?
I will say that we have been exploring the 3D printed side of things, even knowing the trade-offs. But I think what we are coming up with is going to be a unique collaboration between that world and what we currently do.
Mm-hmm.
It's a blending of the latest of technology with a tried and true blueprint of what has made us successful, and I'm excited. It should be in the near future that we can release that. Um, you know, we've obviously been ramping up production looking forward to the first of the year. So, our current designs are, I mean, they are getting a lot of attention right now.
Good.
We're getting it in the hands of consumers and dealers, and doing events. I mean, we just did one in Howell, Michigan, at Peacemakers gun range, and we had their whole team out there. And the reason for that is one of the guys there, Adam, goes, "Hey, one of my customers got a SIG Spear in 277 Fury, and he wants a suppressor for it." And SIG makes one. It's okay, right? It has a flow through concept. You better be wearing Ear Pro, or it's gonna hurt. And so I told him, I was like, "Hey, man, I've got this suppressor. Let me send you one." And we actually did more than that. We took our team up there and did a demo, and we were able to put our can on that 277 Fury, and it was well under hearing safe. They were shooting it without Ear Pro, and nothing they threw at it was going to trip it up. And it's that kind of stuff when the companies are putting out ammunition with 80,000 psi chamber pressure, and we're putting a welded titanium can on that gun, and it's eating up everything it's throwing at it. That to me is impressive. And we're taking that same concept to future designs. And every time the firearms world figures out this new round or this new platform, we're trying to have a product that can suppress it no matter what. One fun project that we did was we made a suppressor for an MG42, and it's just like those little side projects that are fun. And it's stuff like that where we get to do fun things that are innovative and challenging. So
right on. So Scott, for those who for those folks listening who want to learn more about your product and where to find you and your company and your whole product lineup, what's the contact information? What's the website?
Yeah, guardiandefensemfg.com. It's the websites are always a work in progress. We're a company that builds and designs, and that's what that's what we do. So go there. There's a lot of information on there. It's always being updated with the latest in our technology, because that's really what people want to know about. And then also our social media pages are linked on there, and that is where a lot of people are going to see our products in action and learn about them. Along with platforms like what we're doing here. This has been an amazing opportunity to talk to you all and inform your audience on our designs, our technology, and I'm grateful for you to allow me to come on here and talk.
For sure. So before Matt wraps it up with his question, I just want to put out two thank yous to this podcast for making it happen. The first thank you is thank you, ex co-host Adam, for being deathly sick and talking to Scott on an airplane the whole ride back from SHOT Show.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. Thank you, sick Adam. That was awesome. And then second, huge listener of the show, huge supporter of the show. Shout out Chris over at Suppress Nation, who hit me up and was like, "Hey man, if I need to introduce you to these guys." And I was like, I screenshotted a text message thread from me and you. And I was like, "Bro, we've been talking for like 3 months." He was like, "Good, get them on. They're great." Shout out to both of those guys. Thank you for pushing us to make this happen. And Scott, thank you for taking the time. But Matt, I think it's that time, bro.
All right, Scott, I think it's that time. I don't know if you've heard it on the show before, but we like to ask every guest. I mean, we're all gun guys here, and we all kind of we secretly judge each other, a little gentle ribbing about the types of guns that we like to shoot. So our
Okay.
listeners want to know, Scott, it's not the zombie apocalypse, it's not World War III, but you only get 5 guns for the rest of your life, and you got to cover all the types of shooting that you like to do.
Okay.
What NFA doesn't matter, and it
Okay.
doesn't have to be something you already own. It could be a dream gun even. But what
Ooh, okay.
5 guns are you taking with you?
Okay. Man, that's a tough question.
Yeah.
As a gun guy, I will start with my favorite handgun. I'm an HK guy. Um, my first gun I ever bought was an HK USP Tactical in 45.
Yep.
So day I turned
Oof.
21, that was the first purchase. Um, so that's got to be on the list.
It's a good
Uh,
choice.
of course, suppressed. The first thing I did was tell Sean at Guardian Defense Manufacturing, hey, I need a 45 can and a piston so I can suppress my USP Tactical 45.
Heck yeah.
So that my favorite handgun ever is an HK or an HK P7 M13. I absolutely love that handgun. Um, God, let me see the other ones. God, this is tough.
2 handguns.
Yes, I would say that got to have an M60 in there. That's
The gun of Rambo. All right.
yeah. So
The gun of Scott.
let's go one bolt action, and I would probably say a Volkortsen Summit,
Ooh.
which is their straight pullback.
Yeah, it is.
Bolt action. I've done a lot of work with Volkortsen over the years. Love those
Shout out
guys.
Scott. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great
Scott's
team over
amazing.
there.
He's got an awesome team, and that is one of the best bolt action 22s in existence.
All right, you got one more.
More. Let's see. I am a big 6-ARC guy, and I would say that I really love my Cobalt Kinetics SPR in 6-ARC, and that is my go-to hunting rifle. And so, yeah, that would probably be those would probably be my choices.
Freaking solid.
Yeah, man.
You keep going, but you only gave me 5, so
Yep.
Man, those are solid choices. Again, go check Scott and the entire team out over at Guardian Defense Manufacturing website, guardiandefensemfg.com.
yes, sir.
I'm out on Instagram. Definitely let us know in the comments what you think about Scott's 5 gun choices. Also, let us know what you think about their suppressors and if you'd be willing to give one a shot. As always, thank you guys for watching and listening. It means so much to you for us to we do this because of you guys. And if you could please go to whatever platform you're on, leave us a review, leave us a comment, let us know what we're doing, whether we're great or we suck. Either way, we're going to try to do better, we promise. And as always, on behalf of Scott, on behalf of Matt, I'm Mike. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you next week.
Thank y'all.